Okay, so before I start this week's video properly, I want to talk a bit about last week's theme, which was love. Now, I believe there are many types of love, but they're all equally important. You've got romantic love, and familial love, and friendly love. And I think it's important that you take all those types of love seriously. So often when people get a boyfriend or girlfriend, they become so wrapped up in the little bubble of the two of them that they forget about their friends and their family, which I think is a real shame. So I just want to take a moment to tell you guys, all of you watching this, that I love you, and I'm going to keep loving you until you give me reason not to. And tying in with the theme of love, my song for the week this week is With You Around by Yellowcard, which you can find here. I'm getting good at pointing. I picked this song because I rediscovered the album a couple of days ago. I had to reformat my MP3 player, but basically I lost quite a lot of music doing that because it wasn't backed up on my hard drive, and this album was one of the ones that wasn't backed up. But I rediscovered it, and I really, really love it, particularly that song. So go check it out. Now to get on with this week. Okay, first things first, a quick warning. This video does talk about some sensitive issues, particularly child porn. If you're easily upset by things like that, you probably shouldn't watch this. Although maybe you should. It's just a warning that it talks about that. It doesn't go into detail, but I'm just warning you. Okay, first things first. In this video I'm going to be talking a lot about nerdfighters, so you probably ought to know what a nerdfighter is. Nerdfighters are people who, instead of being made of flesh and blood and cells, are made entirely of awesome. They're followers of the YouTubers, the Vlogbrothers, whose channel you can find up here. In general, nerdfighters are wonderful, kind-hearted, trustworthy people who strive to make the world a better place and to make themselves the best people they can possibly be. I've never met a more welcoming group of people than the nerdfighters. They're trustworthy, honest, good people, and I'm very grateful to be able to call myself part of that community. But John and Hank can say all this a lot better than I can, so if you're totally new to Nerdfighteria, you should probably check out the video, which I'll put a link to there. Nerdfighteria is the collective name for the community of nerdfighters. Just FYI. Okay, so you may or may not have heard the news about Mike Lombardo. He's currently undergoing investigation from the FBI because of allegations that he's been manufacturing and distributing child porn. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. If you want to know more, Google it or check the Mike Lombardo tag on Tumblr. I'll put a couple of links down in the doobly-doo if you want to read a bit more about it. But that's all I'm going to say. He's not been charged formally, and he's not been convicted yet. We don't know whether or not he is guilty. We don't know any details. Just try and keep an open mind. What I want to talk about today is the effect that those allegations are going to have on the internet's reputation, and particularly Nerdfighteria. Now, Mike was not and is not a nerdfighter. He's made that clear on quite a few occasions. He is not a nerdfighter. But he's closely linked with the community. He's friends with nerdfighters, and DFTBA Records have distributed some of his albums. This whole affair has kind of shocked Nerdfighteria. I think that has to do with the level of trust in Nerdfighteria. Nerdfighters implicitly trust one another. They trust other nerdfighters and all those people associated with Nerdfighteria. Now, maybe that's a very naive outlook to have, but it's one shared by a majority of nerdfighters, including myself. Yet I feel comfortable for some reason sharing my nerdfighters.com username with people just via Nerdfighter note, and I have actually been contacted by someone that way, and we got chatting a bit. He seems really nice. Now, the vast majority of nerdfighters are good, honest, kind-hearted people, and just look at all the good they've done. Project for Awesome, and the Foundation to Decrease World Suck, and the This Star Won't Go Out Foundation. They are all started through Nerdfighteria. They're all Nerdfighter projects, and they've done massive amounts of good in the world. They also promoted Kiva.org. I'll put links to all of that down in the doobly-doo. I guess I just thought that because most nerdfighters strive to decrease world suck and make the world a better place, they all do. But that's obviously not true. I think the reason this really shook me is because, in my mind, Nerdfighteria is a really safe place. It's always been my own safe little haven, because I know that in Nerdfighteria I'm not going to be judged or criticised for the way I look, or what I like, or how I act. I know that I will be accepted for who I am. This community feels like family. At least, to me it does. Now, I would say that I have my wits about me when it comes to online safety. I don't give out my email address or phone number to people online. I'm quite careful about the information that I share. So I guess I let my guard down a bit. The allegations against Mike Lombardo made me realise that there must be bad people in Nerdfighteria. Made me realise that it's not a safe place. There are people there who want to abuse their power and position and want to exploit other people for their own personal gain. And that scares me. It scares me that a community that I practically considered family is unsafe. I let my guard down in Nerdfighteria, and it scares me to think that something like that could happen to me. I like to think that I wouldn't have allowed myself to be used in that way, but honestly, I just don't know. This video is not about Mike Lombardo and his alleged actions. It's about how even a community as good and honest and safe as Nerdfighteria can sometimes be dangerous. So I wanted to know what you guys thought about this. Keep your wits about you, and don't forget that people online are just that. They're people, and you don't know what their true intentions are. Stay safe, and DFTBA. I'll put links to all the articles that I've mentioned down in the doobly-doo, along with a couple of blog posts about this, just if you wanted to read.